Dr. Maya Washington wiped sweat from her forehead as the twin suns of Kepler 442c beat down mercilessly. 3 months she'd been digging in this red dirt, and her funding was running thin. The university back on Earth expected results, not just pretty rocks and ancient pottery shards. Another dead end, she muttered, brushing dust from what looked like carved stone. But as her brush revealed more of the surface, her heart began to race. This wasn't just any carving. The stone dragon emerged from the dirt like something from a fever dream. 40 feet of perfectly carved scales, each one detailed enough to fool the eye into thinking they were real. The creature's head was raised skyward, mouth slightly open as if caught mid-roar. But what made Maya's hands shake wasn't the size or craftsmanship. It was the eyes. Even carved from stone, they seemed to watch her. Deep, knowing, patient. Like they were waiting for something. "Hey Maya, find anything worth keeping?" Dr. James Rodriguez called from across the dig site. He was packing up his equipment, ready to call it another fruitless day. "Come look at this," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. James trudged over, took one look and shrugged. "Nice carving. Probably some old alien religious thing. Won't pay for our next supply drop though." Maya ran her fingers along the dragon's snout. The stone felt warm, which didn't make sense in the cooling evening air. "This is different, James. Look at the detail. This level of craftsmanship shouldn't exist on a planet this remote." "Every dead civilization thinks they're special," James replied, shouldering his pack. "I'm heading back to base camp. Don't stay out here too long. The wildlife gets active after dark." As James disappeared over the ridge, Maya found herself alone with the dragon. The dig site fell quiet except for the distant hum of their generator and the whisper of wind across the plains. She pulled out her scanner and ran it over the statue. The readings made her frown. Energy signatures. Faint but definitely there. "That's impossible," she said to herself. "Stone doesn't generate power." She ran the scanner again. Same results. Whatever this dragon was made of, it wasn't ordinary rock. Maya pulled out her notebook and started sketching, trying to capture details that her camera might miss. As she worked, she found herself humming. It was an old song her grandmother used to sing when Maya was little. A spiritual about rivers and crossing over. The melody always calmed her nerves during stressful times. As the notes drifted across the empty landscape, something strange happened. The dragon's eyes flickered. Maya stopped humming immediately. The eyes were stone again, dark and lifeless. She stared at them for a long moment, then shook her head. "Just tired," she told herself. "Seeing things." But her scanner disagreed. It had recorded another energy spike at the exact moment she'd been singing. Maya looked around the empty dig site. No one else was within miles. James would think she was losing her mind if she told him the statue had reacted to music. Hell, she was starting to think she was losing her mind. She packed up her equipment as the first moon rose, casting the dragon in silver light. The shadows made it look even more alive, like it might spread those stone wings and take flight at any moment. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching her leave. Back at base camp, she spent hours analyzing the energy readings. The patterns were unlike anything in the database. Not electronic, not nuclear, not even the exotic particles they detected from other alien ruins. This was something else entirely. Maya pulled up her files on human music theory, comparing the wavelengths of her grandmother's spiritual to the energy signatures from the scanner. The match wasn't perfect, but it was close enough to make her hands tremble as she typed her notes. The next morning, she told James she was taking a personal research day. He grumbled about wasted time, but Maya didn't care. She packed extra batteries for her equipment and headed back to the dragon. This time she came prepared. She'd loaded her tablet with dozens of songs from Earth. Classical pieces, folk music, jazz, rock, even some of the old tribal chants preserved in the archives. If the dragon was somehow responding to music, she was going to find out which kind worked best. Standing before the massive stone creature in the morning light, Maya felt small and uncertain. But there was something about the dragon that didn't feel threatening. If anything, it seemed sad. Lonely. Like it had been waiting in this empty place for far too long. She started her scanner recording and began to sing. Maya returned to the dragon every evening for a week. Each time she brought different music and watched the scanner readings climb. Classical pieces made faint geometric patterns appear along the dragon's wings, glowing like circuit boards under the stone surface. Jazz caused the scales to shimmer with an inner light that reminded her of oil on water. But folk songs, the simple melodies passed down through generations, made the eyes pulse with warm golden light. "This is crazy," she whispered to herself on the 7th night, but she couldn't stay away. The dragon was responding to something uniquely human, something that went deeper than just organized sound. She'd started bringing a camping chair and a thermos of coffee, treating these evening visits like a ritual. Tonight felt different though. The air was still, charged with the same energy that comes before a thunderstorm. Maya pulled out her tablet and scrolled through her collection of songs. Her fingers stopped on a lullaby. Not just any lullaby, but the one her grandmother had sung to her every night when she was small. The melody was simple, just a few notes repeated in a pattern that always made her feel safe. Maya had never sung it for another person, but somehow, sitting before this ancient stone creature, it felt right. She began to hum softly, then let the words come naturally. Her voice echoed across the empty landscape, carried by the wind over hills of red dirt and scattered rocks. As the melody built, the dragon began to respond. The golden light in its eyes grew brighter. The geometric patterns along its wings started to pulse in rhythm with the song. But something else was happening too. The stone itself began to resonate, creating a low harmonic frequency that Maya felt in her chest rather than heard with her ears. As she reached the final verse, the impossible happened. The dragon's eyes opened. Not the carved stone eyes she'd been staring at for days, but real eyes. Deep and ancient, filled with swirling galaxies and distant stars. They looked at her with intelligence that made her feel like a child seeing the ocean for the first time. Maya stopped singing. Her thermos fell from numb fingers, coffee spilling across the red dirt. The dragon blinked slowly, and when it did, she saw entire solar systems being born and dying in those cosmic depths. Then it spoke. The voice didn't come through her ears but directly into her mind, warm and patient like sunlight after a long winter. Young singer, you have awakened me from the long sleep. Maya tried to speak but only managed a strangled whisper. You're alive? I am Kalen, last of the architects. We planted the seeds of life across this galaxy long before your son was born. The dragon's head tilted slightly, studying her with those impossible eyes. Your species was our greatest achievement, though you awakened far earlier than we expected. Achievement? Maya found her voice, though it shook. We're just humans. We're not special. A sound that might have been laughter rumbled through her mind. Not special? Child, your people are the only ones who learned to make the universe sing. Maya's scientific training kicked in even through her shock. Music exists in other species. We've documented whale songs, bird calls, even some mathematical patterns in alien communications. Sound, yes. Organization, certainly. But music? Kalen's mental voice grew warm with something like affection. True music requires both mathematical precision and emotional truth. It demands that logic and feeling become one voice. In all our travels across the galaxy, only humans achieved this synthesis. The dragon shifted slightly, stone grinding against stone, though somehow the movement seemed fluid rather than mechanical. Other species we guided developed remarkable gifts. The Vex mastered technology that makes your quantum computers look like counting stones. The Altarians learned to share thoughts across light years without any devices. The Karathi can manipulate matter at the molecular level with their minds alone. Maya's head spun. There are other intelligent species? Thousands. But none of them learned what you call music. They achieved great things through pure logic or pure emotion, but never both together. That synthesis, that harmony of mind and heart, is humanity's gift to the cosmos. But we're not even united as a species, Maya protested. We fight wars, we destroy our own planet, we can barely agree on anything. And yet when you sing together, all those divisions disappear, Kalen replied gently. A child in your African settlements can harmonize with an adult from your Arctic colonies, though they share no common language. Your music transcends every barrier your minds create. Maya stared at the dragon, trying to process what she was hearing. Why are you telling me this? The golden light in Kalen's eyes dimmed slightly. Because your people are in danger. The other species have watched your expansion into space. Some admire your potential, but others fear it. They remember the gift we encoded in your species, even if you have forgotten it yourselves. What gift? The ability to unlock technologies we left scattered across the galaxy. Technologies that require not just intelligence, but the precise harmony of thought and feeling that only human music can provide. Maya felt cold despite the warm evening air. And these other species, they don't want us to find these technologies? A coalition has formed. They believe it is better to contain humanity now before you can claim your inheritance. Their fleets are already moving toward your home system. The weight of what Kalen was saying hit her like a physical blow. Earth is in danger? All of human space, the dragon confirmed sadly. Unless you can prove to them that your people deserve the legacy we left for you. Maya spent the entire next day pacing around her small research tent, trying to process what Kaylin had told her. Every few hours, she'd check her equipment to make sure she hadn't imagined the whole encounter. But the energy readings were still there, recorded proof that something impossible had happened. As evening approached, she found herself drawn back to the dragon. Kaylin's eyes were closed again, looking like carved stone, but she knew he was aware of her presence. "I need to understand," she said aloud, settling into her camping chair. "You said your people created us. How is that possible?" The dragon's eyes opened slowly, galaxies swirling in their depths. "Not created, child. Guided. Life finds its own way, but sometimes it needs a gentle push in the right direction." Maya pulled out her notebook, her scientist instincts taking over. "Tell me about these architects. What were you like?" "We were ancient when your son was young," Kaylin's voice whispered through her mind. "We traveled between the stars not in ships, but as pure consciousness riding the cosmic winds. For millions of years, we searched for something we had lost." "What did you lose?" "Purpose. Meaning. We had achieved everything we thought possible. Perfect technology, unlimited power, knowledge of the universe's deepest secrets. But we had forgotten how to feel wonder." The dragon's great head turned toward the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "So we decided to plant gardens. We found worlds with the spark of life and helped it grow in different directions. Each species became an experiment in consciousness, a different way of experiencing existence." Maya scribbled notes frantically. "But why music? Why make that humanity's special ability?" "Because music is mathematics made beautiful," Kaylin replied. "It is order given soul. We had learned to calculate the movement of galaxies, but we had forgotten why sunsets were worth watching. Music bridges that gap between knowing and feeling." "Other species must have developed some form of music," Maya argued. "It seems like such a natural progression. They developed sounds, patterns, even complex harmonies. But they never learned to make those sounds carry emotion across species barriers. A human lullaby can calm a crying child whether that child is from your Earth, your Mars colonies, or your frontier settlements. The melody speaks to something deeper than culture or language." Kaylin paused, and Maya felt a wave of sadness wash through her mind. "We encoded this gift into your species' development, then went into the long sleep, leaving markers and technologies for you to discover when you were ready. We never expected you to reach the stars so quickly." "How quickly? Humans have been around for thousands of years." "Child, your species went from first flight to interstellar travel in less than 2 centuries. Most species take tens of thousands of years for such development. Your rapid expansion has frightened other civilizations." Maya felt her stomach drop. "They see us as a threat." "Some do. The Hegemony Alliance controls most of this galaxy's trade routes. They maintain order through careful balance of power. Humanity's sudden appearance, spreading across dozens of systems, disrupts that balance." "But we're not trying to conquer anyone," Maya protested. "We're explorers, scientists, settlers looking for new homes." "I know this. But the Alliance sees a species with unknown capabilities spreading faster than they can track. They fear what you might become once you discover the technologies we left for you." Kaylin's eyes pulsed brighter. "Would you like to see what we created for humanity?" Before Maya could answer, images flooded her mind. Cities that grew themselves from song, their buildings shifting and adapting based on musical algorithms. Spacecraft that navigated the cosmos using harmonized crew voices instead of computers. Medical devices that healed through precisely tuned frequencies, repairing damaged tissue at the cellular level by matching the natural rhythms of healthy cells. Terraforming symphonies, Kaylin continued, the images flowing faster now. Entire orchestras working together to transform dead worlds into garden paradises. Communication networks spanning the galaxy, carrying not just information but the emotional context that gives meaning to words. Maya saw humans working alongside fantastic alien creatures, their combined voices creating technologies that seemed like magic. Diplomatic meetings where conflicts were resolved through collaborative musical composition, forcing all parties to find harmony literally and figuratively. "This is what we intended," Kaylin explained. "Humanity as the galaxy's conductors, helping all species find their part in a greater cosmic symphony." The visions faded, leaving Maya breathless. But the Alliance won't let that happen. They are already mobilizing. 3 fleets representing the major powers. They plan to establish quarantine zones around all human systems, preventing further expansion until they can study your people safely. Quarantine zones? Maya felt sick. That would trap millions of humans. Or worse. Some faction leaders argue for preemptive strikes against your military installations. They believe it's better to cripple humanity now than risk losing control later. Maya stood up abruptly, her chair falling backward. We have to warn Earth. Send messages to the colonies. They need to know what's coming. There is no time, Kalen said gently. Even your fastest communications would take months to reach the inner systems. The Alliance fleets will arrive first. Then what do we do? Maya's voice cracked with desperation. There is one possibility. I can activate our ancient defense network, technologies powerful enough to protect human space from any threat. But first, you must prove your people worthy of such power. How? The dragon's eyes dimmed slightly. The same way your species has always solved its greatest challenges. Through music. You must compose a song that shows the galaxy who humans really are. Not as conquerors or threats, but as the bridge builders we designed you to be. Maya stared at the massive stone creature. One song? To save all of humanity? Not just one voice, child. Your gift has never been in solo performance. It lies in bringing many voices together, creating harmony from diversity. You have 30 days before the Alliance reaches your home system. The weight of responsibility settled on Maya's shoulders like a physical burden. I'm just one person. How can I organize something like that? The same way every great human achievement has begun, Kalen replied with infinite patience. One person deciding that impossible things are worth attempting. Maya stared at her communication device for 3 hours before finally activating it. How do you tell the entire human race that their survival depends on singing together? How do you explain that an ancient stone dragon holds the key to technologies beyond imagination? She decided to start with the truth no matter how crazy it sounded. Her first call went to Dr. Rodriguez back at base camp. James, I need you to trust me on something that's going to sound completely insane. Maya, where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for 2 days. Listen to me carefully. That dragon we found isn't just a statue. It's a guardian left by an ancient race, and humanity is about to face the biggest test in our species' history. Silence on the other end. Then, Maya, are you feeling okay? The isolation out there can mess with your head. James, I'm sending you energy readings from the site. Look at them. Really look at them. Then come out here tonight and see for yourself. It took 6 hours of back-and-forth communication, sharing data files and scanner readings, before James reluctantly agreed to visit the dragon. When Kalen opened his eyes and spoke directly into James's mind, the big man fainted on the spot. Well, that's one believer, Maya muttered, fanning James with her notebook. Getting the university to listen was harder. The department head at Columbia dismissed her initial reports as stress-induced hallucinations. It wasn't until Maya convinced Kalen to demonstrate his abilities during a live video call that people started taking her seriously. Watching a 40-foot stone dragon move and speak tends to grab attention. Within 48 hours, Maya found herself at the center of the biggest media storm in human history. Every major news network wanted interviews. Scientists demanded access to the site. Religious leaders proclaimed everything from the second coming to the end times. But Maya had bigger problems than fame. She had 26 days to organize a planet-wide musical collaboration, and most humans had never even tried to sing in harmony with their neighbors, let alone people on different worlds. This is impossible, she told Kalen during one of their evening conversations. I've talked to musicians on 12 different colonies. Half of them think I'm crazy, and the other half want to know what they'll get paid for participating. Your species has achieved many impossible things, the dragon replied calmly. You learned to fly when evolution gave you no wings. You visited other worlds when your bodies were designed for one planet. You survived ice ages and plagues and wars that should have destroyed you. But this is different. We're talking about perfect harmony across light years of space, between people who don't even speak the same languages. Language is not required for music, child. A mother's lullaby sounds the same whether she sings it on Earth or Europa. The notes carry the same love, the same hope. Maya rubbed her temples, feeling the weight of 30 billion human lives pressing down on her. What if we fail? What if the song doesn't work? Kalen's mental voice grew serious. Then I will activate what defenses I can, but they will only delay the inevitable. Without proving your worth to the galaxy, humanity will remain trapped in your current systems, forever watched and contained. And if we succeed? Then your people will inherit technologies that will transform not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy. You will become what we always intended, the conductors of a cosmic symphony that brings unity through diversity. Maya made a decision. If she was going to fail, she'd fail trying something worth doing. She reached out to every contact she'd made in 20 years of archaeological work. Former colleagues, university friends, people she'd met at conferences. Each person she contacted was asked to reach out to 5 more people. Within a week, she had a network spanning every human settlement in known space. Dr. Angela Thompson, a music theorist from the Martian Conservatory, became her closest ally. The mathematical side is actually simple, Angela explained during one of their video calls. We need a composition that can be performed simultaneously across multiple time zones and communication delays. The real challenge is emotional resonance. What do you mean? Music isn't just about hitting the right notes at the right time. It's about conveying feeling. We need a song that speaks to something universal in the human experience, something that translates across all our cultures and backgrounds. Maya thought about this for days. What did all humans share? What experiences transcended nationality, religion, social class, and even the vast distances of space? The answer came to her while watching children play at the research camp. They were singing a simple counting song, probably learned on 20 different worlds, but the melody was essentially the same everywhere. Children's games, lullabies, work songs, these basic human experiences remained constant no matter where people lived. We don't need to create something new, she realized, calling Angela back. We need to use something that already exists in every human culture. Together, they began crafting a composition that wove together musical elements from across human space. African rhythms from the mining colonies, Celtic melodies preserved on the agricultural worlds, Asian harmonies adapted by the research stations, Latin percussion from the manufacturing hubs. But the core of the song would be simple enough for a child to sing, universal enough that every human could recognize it as their own. With 15 days remaining, Maya sent out the final composition. The response was overwhelming. Musicians volunteered to organize local performances. Ordinary people formed impromptu choirs. Even military units on the frontier worlds started practicing during their off-duty hours. It's working, Maya told Kaylin one evening, watching messages pour in from across human space. People are actually doing it. Your species has always responded well to challenges, the dragon observed. Perhaps because you know that your greatest achievements come not from individual effort, but from working together toward something larger than yourselves. Maya smiled, feeling hope for the first time since this all began. 10 more days. Think we can pull it off? Child, I think you already have. The final week before the performance felt like controlled chaos. Maya had barely slept in days, coordinating with musicians, community leaders, and even ordinary families across dozens of star systems. Her small research camp had transformed into mission control for the most ambitious musical project in human history. Status report from the Centauri colonies, called out Dr. Angela Thompson, managing communications from her station on Mars. 15,000 registered participants across 3 worlds. Europa Base confirms their underwater research stations are participating, added James, who had become Maya's unofficial logistics coordinator. They're saying the acoustic properties down there might actually enhance the harmony. Maya checked her tablet, scrolling through endless lists of confirmation messages. Families in the asteroid mining belts, scientific research teams on distant moons, military personnel aboard patrol ships, children in schools across the inner planets. Everyone wanted to be part of this moment. But doubt still gnawed at her. What if it's not enough? She asked Kaylin during one of their final conversations. What if 30 billion people singing together still doesn't prove we're worthy? The worthiness was never in question, the ancient dragon replied. Your species has already demonstrated its value by choosing to try. The song is simply the medium through which that truth can be shared. Through her network, Maya had learned that the alien coalition fleets were already positioning themselves around the outer edges of human space. Long-range sensors detected massive ships unlike anything in human databases. The beings commanding those vessels were deciding humanity's future based on their own fears and preconceptions. Have they made contact with Earth yet? Maya asked. They observe but do not communicate, Kaylin explained. It is their way. They will study your response to their presence, judge your intentions based on your actions. Then we better make our actions count. The night before the performance, Maya walked among the dragon's stone coils one last time. Tomorrow, if everything went according to plan, humans across the galaxy would sing together at precisely the same moment. Kaylin would amplify their voices, broadcasting the song to every corner of known space. I keep thinking about my grandmother, Maya said quietly. She used to tell me that music was prayer made audible. That when people sang together, they created something bigger than themselves. Wise woman, Kaylin replied. She understood what many forget, that harmony requires both individual voices and collective purpose. What if some people can't carry a tune? What if they sing off-key? Child, perfection was never the goal. Sincerity is what matters. The alien observers will not judge your species by technical precision, but by the spirit behind your effort. Maya nodded, though her stomach still churned with nervous energy. Will you really be able to reach every corner of the galaxy? The architects built networks that span star clusters. When activated by the right harmonic frequency, they can carry signals farther than your telescopes can see. Your combined voices will echo in systems that have never heard of Earth. The performance was scheduled for noon, Earth Standard Time, which meant different times of day across human space. Some people would be singing at sunrise, others at midnight. Maya had worried about this initially, but Angela convinced her it was actually perfect. Music doesn't care about time zones, the music theorist had explained. A lullaby works just as well at 3 a.m. as it does at 3 p.m. Maybe better. As the moment approached, Maya found herself surprisingly calm. Whatever happened next was out of her hands. Humanity had chosen to answer this challenge with their voices raised in harmony. That choice, regardless of the outcome, said something important about who they were as a species. At 11:59 a.m. Earth time, Maya activated her communication device one final time. This is Dr. Maya Washington to all participating stations. 30 seconds to performance. Remember, this isn't about perfect technique. It's about singing together as one human family, across all the distance and differences that usually separate us. She looked up at Kaylin, whose stone form had begun to glow with soft golden light. Ready? I have been ready for millennia, the dragon replied. At exactly noon, Maya began to sing. The melody was simple, built from fragments of songs that existed in every human culture. A mother's lullaby, a farmer's work song, a traveler's ballad about finding home. The words had been crafted to be universal: hope, love, the dream of building something better for future generations. As Maya's voice carried across the empty landscape of Kepler 442c, she felt other voices joining her. First James, singing hesitantly from the base camp. Then Angela's trained voice from Mars, clear and strong. Within minutes, the simple melody was being sung by children on Luna, miners in the asteroid belts, scientists at research stations orbiting distant gas giants. The harmony grew and spread like ripples on a cosmic pond. Voices from the farming colonies added Earth-rich bass notes. The manufacturing worlds contributed rhythmic percussion created by workers tapping on metal surfaces. Research teams isolated on ice worlds sang with crystalline clarity that seemed to capture the beauty of their frozen surroundings. Maya felt tears streaming down her face as she realized what was happening. Humanity wasn't just singing the same song, they were making it their own, adding their unique experiences and cultures while maintaining the core harmony that bound them all together. Through Kaylin, she sensed the song spreading beyond human space. The ancient networks were responding, amplifying their voices across impossible distances. Species that had never heard human music suddenly found themselves listening to the sound of an entire civilization choosing hope over fear, unity over division. In the coalition fleets watching from the edges of human territory, alien commanders stood transfixed. They had come expecting to find another aggressive species seeking conquest. Instead, they heard something that transcended language, politics, and even species barriers, the sound of beings who could look at an infinite universe and choose to fill it with beauty. The song lasted only 5 minutes, but its echoes would continue for decades. As the final notes faded, Maya felt a profound silence fall across human space. Millions of people who had never met, would never meet, had just shared the most intimate of human experiences. It is done, Kaylin said simply. Within hours, the coalition fleets began withdrawing. Not in defeat but in something like wonder. The galaxy had heard humanity's true voice, and it was not the voice of conquerors or destroyers. It was the voice of gardeners ready to help the universe bloom.